Suns fans, you know what time it is in the PHX.
Empire of the Suns.
Phoenix Suns.
Empire of the Suns.
Hello there, and welcome to the Empire of the Suns podcast. My name is Kellen Olson, joined as always by Kevin Zimmerman. What up, man?
How's it going? It's almost time for the basketball.
Good. It is indeed. We're recording this on Friday morning at 10 a.m. I just got fresh off of doing Bickley and Murata 2 days, and then I'm going straight to the airport and flying out to Vegas for a bachelor party. So we're just kind of keeping the wheels moving.
Come back alive. We need you. Get some rest. You're not going to get rest, are you?
It depends on how cooperative the lads are. I'll put it that way. If I have it my way, I'll get at least like 6 hours of sleep each night. We'll see what allows that. It seems like they got 3 to 4 last night, which is not really what I'm shooting for, but I also got 3 to 4. So I'm not the one that can start complaining because I was on the same sleep schedule as them for different reasons. Enough about me. Let's talk about this Phoenix Suns basketball team. We've got basketball back on Wednesday, the season opener. Kevin and I haven't talked since, I believe, the preseason opener, I want to say.
We went into the preseason, yeah. Did we watch one open?
We watched the opener where there was defense trying, effort, grit, all that kind of stuff, all the intangibles that the team has talked about at length. We won't really go into those too much. We've got a few injury updates to go over and just some more preseason impressions and talking points to review for the start of the season. If you're new here, hello, Kellen, Kevin over there.
Hi.
We're here doing the deal. I would recommend, and I always do this, longtime listeners will know, if you're looking for more like, it's the start of the season, here's what to expect. Like, we've had a lot of those conversations already. To this point, we're going to get into that a little bit more here and like predictions, whatever you want to do exactly. But we've got the home opener on Wednesday. The biggest news to come out of the preseason so far, we have not seen Jalen Green or Mark Williams. Jalen Green aggravated his hamstring, suffered a hamstring strain, going into the preseason. It was about like a week before the preseason got underway for them on October 3rd when he suffered it. He travels with the team to China, and at some point he re-aggravates the hamstring. Jordan Ott said that he was close to playing on October 12th, so that indicates that he was close to playing, obviously, and that he didn't, the way Ott was describing it didn't sound like it was one of those re-aggravations where it's like, oh, great, now he's going to miss 2 months. It still sounds like he's in a pretty decent spot. We will be receiving an update on his status by a week from today, which is the second game of the season, I believe on the 24th off the top of my head, if I'm remembering correctly, against the Clippers on the road. We'll get an update at some point then. And then Mark Williams, he continues to go through this process that we talked about on last episode. They are rehabilitating, reshaping, however you want to say it. They've sort of had him go through, maybe it's being too dramatic, but a body transformation. Like, they've loved his strength numbers with whatever metrics they're using to measure him. But all of this has been a very slow, arduous, tepid process. He just started playing 5-on-5 a few days ago. That was against coaches and staff, so I don't really count that. I got to watch a little bit of that, and it wasn't really at a certain speed, to say the least. They will be scrimmaging at some point this weekend or early next week, I imagine, to keep up their cardio. So is he getting in those games? How does he look in those games? Do they feel good about where he is in those games? Needless to say, Kevin, this is a team that does not have any margin for error right now. I think they can still build the way that they want to build if these guys miss time to start the year. But in terms of them starting off on the right foot and building everything with their synergy and how they're going to play this year, figuring out the Green Booker dynamic, figuring out how to maximize Williams as a roller, as a 5, those are things that you would like to have some time and some kinks worked out in preseason, and they didn't get them.
Yeah, it's going to be a process. I mean, I think that's why when you look at win total stuff preseason, we are where we are with them. And even considering the injury history going into this for Mark Williams specifically, that's where it's like, hey, you got center options at least behind him. If he's not ready, if he's getting his win back, whatever. If we take this whole preseason in to project into the regular season, like, obviously they're going to have to play defense. There were good returns there, not just the effort stuff, but just being in sync, and offense too. Like, they just don't have as much talent when you consider the offensive talent without Jalen Green, especially alongside Book. So I think they're going to take some losses, but it's, hey, do you have semblance of organization? Do you have semblance of plans? Do you have an identity? And I think, again, preseason, but we got a good sense of they're going to be super aggressive on the ball. Just running through, again, big asterisk preseason numbers. I think they were a top 10 defense. They were top 5, I believe, in steal rate. They foul a ton. They led the NBA in foul rate, which is to be expected when you have an aggressive team playing like that and a young team. So they're just going to try to get into people's faces and outwork people. And you're going to need to go deep into your bench to play this way, both because of the fouls and the effort that you hope you're getting out of the guys. And that's going to be your identity. And you hope Devin Booker can pull you out of a couple games just playing masterful basketball until Jalen Green returns. And then that does obviously reshape, because I think we saw, like, as soon as Book left, I know it's preseason again, but just who's the person creating. Another thing we can talk about a little bit is just, I did like how they aren't making Book play traditional point guard stuff. He's coming off pin downs. He also pretty touched the ball a lot. It was very involved, but at the same time is not forced to work from zero, bring the ball up as people are staring at him. So they're very aware of how hopefully to optimize him and not overwork him, because, again, a lot's going on his shoulders. And that's something you wrote about, especially with Jalen Green being out.
Multifaceted is the way that I would describe it. Just the way that they're using him, where they're using him, and not forcing him to bring the ball up all the time. That's putting a lot of trust in Grayson Allen and Dylan Brooks and others like Colin Gillespie. I do wonder if Book's impact isn't what they want in terms of how he's able to impact the game a game or two in. I wonder if they do turn to someone like Gillespie just to go with like the quote unquote traditional point guard, just because the secondary stuff really isn't working. But it's my biggest hesitation with the team, because I just think that the synergy that's going to be required between him and Green is basically another elevation of what you were looking for with Beal. Now there was KD in the offense. There was more that you had to kind of figure out there. It wasn't just those two guys leading the charge. But one, they're just going to be screwed when one of these guys is out, because the other guy is just going to get completely phased out of the game, or the other team is going to completely phase them out, or try to completely phase them out of the game. I believe it was the first game in China against Brooklyn where Book was just hardly involved because they were doing full court pressure. They were trapping off of any screen. And that's a type of situation where I asked Todd about it, and he's like, well, if they're going to face guard him from 40 feet and we can or they're going to trap him that far out, 35 feet, like we'll play 4-on-3. And it's like, yes, you will play 4-on-3, but how successful are those 4-on-3s compared to the Draymond Green Warriors? Like the best case scenario of that. Can you land somewhere in the middle? Can you get enough out of Oso Ighodaro in those sequences if he's going to continue to start while Mark Williams is out? Gambo is reporting that the expectation is for Williams to be ready by Wednesday. But again, those types of reports when we're talking about expected to be, could be ready, he's on pace, all that kind of stuff, we'll believe it when we see it with his track record, unfortunately. But yeah, it's just how do they maximize Book when Green is in there and when he isn't in there? And any game Book misses, they're just going to be in for a world of hurt because of the lack of playmaking that they have, and just who's going to produce offense. They're going to have to play with a lot of pace. They're going to have to create a lot of turnovers. They're going to have to win the margins. They were very good at winning the margins in the preseason. You never read into preseason numbers, but I believe the stat that Matt Moore had earlier today too is that when you look at turnover rate in the first quarter specifically, so that was the starters, they had the best number in the league in the preseason. So they're taking care of the ball as well. That's how they're going to win basketball games and surprise people like me who are picking them to win 30 games. That's how they're going to do it. They're going to win the margins. That's what Ott wants to do. But it all starts with those two guys getting on the same page. And so now if Green comes back for the fourth game of the year at Utah on Monday, October 27th, how long do him and Booker need to sort of get on the same page? Because there's going to be like 6-minute stretches in games, Kevin, where Jalen's like almost exclusively playing on the second side. Yeah. And like, is he going to be cool with that? Is he going to be able to take on that role and like love that role? I'm not calling it a Drew Holiday role, everyone. Calm down. We're not going that far just yet. But is he going to be able to take on that role, respect that role, and be okay with the fact that he's going to go through a quarter where he only gets 1 or 2 shots up? Because that's the thing about him being the leading scorer for Houston last year, is that he was many times their number one perimeter option now. And this is the first time in a couple of years where he is not the number one perimeter option for them anymore. So how is he going to handle that? How are you going to maximize Book still when that is happening? How much can they set up for each other? How much are they screening for each other? That is like number one top of mind to see. So the fact that we haven't seen it yet is a concern going into the year, but it's still like not even like 1, 2, 3, 4 in terms of what they need to win basketball games. Like they can still win basketball games if that process is undergoing. It's more about everything that is very ABC 1, 2, 3, 101 basketball kind of stuff that they want to be much better at. So if they do that, they'll be a competitive team all year.
Yeah, I go back to that first Brooklyn game in Macau because like Book, yes, it's preseason. He's not going to be like, I need the ball. First quarter, they got down. They weren't playing good defense either. But to me, whether that's preseason or not, it reminded me that Book does not force things. He is going to say, hey, I'm going to make the right basketball play like he does. But he did out of the third quarter when they were down still. Hey, I'm coming out aggressive as heck. Basically gets them back in the game himself. And that's where in the past 2 years, he hasn't. I don't know if he's just not asserted himself enough or not, just because of the dynamics. I don't think it's necessarily his fault. But on this team, he's definitely back to that spot where he's like, okay, I need to take over now, and I can do that. And I think that's just more clear-cut how this roster is constructed. And that was a reminder of like, okay, like Book knows, okay, we're down this many. I need to do it now. And I'm not necessarily going to do it in the first quarter when things go south immediately. I'm going to pick my spot later. But that's one where it's like, that's the importance of Jalen Green. That doesn't happen where you're down 18 or whatever they were, because then it's just, hey, they're throwing everything at Book. Jalen Green, go cook, just because in the flow of things, that's what's happening. I'm sure he'll be fine with that. But in the third quarter, you know who your number one is. So I think just the dynamics there are going to be a lot easier to manage. But again, it's like, where are you going to get the offense? It is going to be a lot on the other guys. And I'll guess I'll pivot there to the center rotation to ask you, because we saw different things about Oso in Summer League. He got some 4 run, and that might just be, hey, Malawach needed to play, whatever. Do you think he is the backup center right now if Mark Williams is healthy, and do you think he's going to get a lot of run at center just because like he held up better, he looks more physical as far as a rebounder, and they need the playmaking part?
Yes, but it'll be a tight leash. So if he has outings like he had, I believe in the second game in Brooklyn, where if he starts turning the ball over when he's trying to play make, or if he's not finishing, the thing about his shot profile is that him getting to the free throw line, again, we're talking about shot profile for a guy who's going to average like 6 points per game this year, but it's very important for him to have some sort of threat scoring that doesn't include just open layups and open dunks on rolls, lobs, things like that. He's
just
a guy who
fouling him. Yeah,
he needs to get to the free throw line, but when he gets to the free throw line, he needs to make his shots. I'm gonna look it up right now as I'm typing. But his preseason free throw numbers were not good. His free throw numbers last year were not good, but it was in a very limited sample as well. The good news is he was second on the team in free throws attempted per game at 4.3. The bad news is he shot 39%.
Yeah, and he wasn't even getting to the line. So at least like he's like, I just got to get there and figure it out. I think this year, we saw that in Summer League too. But yeah, I mean, I think it was the
and that's 5 for 13 to be clear over 3 games.
Yeah.
So it's not like this great sample size to be like Oso's now like a historically bad Bismack Biyombo free throw shooter.
Yeah,
like, let's relax.
I mean, so I was listening to, I don't think it was the recent episode of the Nash LeBron KD stuff podcast. That's senior advisor Steve Nash now, but he and LeBron were just talking about the centers now. You need to bring something extra if you're just like rim roller, rebounder guy, like Nick Richards. That's where he's in this weird space where it's like, yes, he's actually the most productive, but he actually doesn't bring anything extra, whether it's spacing, shot blocking, playmaking. And that's the weird space he's in, even though he had a pretty good preseason, I think. So Oso like just needs to bring 2 things. He does bring the playmaking, but then you either got to rebound and hold up defensively as an undersized dude, or be able to make your foul shots if they're going to foul you, because they're going to just foul you every time if you can only dunk.
But they need, and this is something that unprompted Op brought up Oso, and just when it came to secondary ball handlers and secondary playmaking, who else was going to be dribble guys for them, as we've coined them on our podcast. they need another wrinkle of it, and Oso does provide that. And then defensively is the more important side of the ball, in my opinion, because Ott has been very steadfast and consistent with, we want our bigs to play up. We're not going to play a deep drop the whole year. Mark is a deep drop guy. Nick Richards is a deep drop guy. Kaman Malawach is a deep drop guy. Oso can play higher up. Now, Malawach did play higher up a little bit in that last game. Richards has done it a little bit more. He looks much more mobile. He looks like he's in much better shape right now, too. But with all that being said, what he wants to do defensively, changing up concepts, changing coverages, whether it's switching, trapping, hedging, going that aggressive, that's where Oso can hang his hat as well. With that being said, he is small. Nick Claxton was bullying him, and you would not think of Nick Claxton as DeMarcus Cousins.
He's a little wiry.
He's a little wiry as well, but he was having his way with him too in that game and just winning the physicality department as well. So if that, I think they'll start with Oso as the backup 5 or the starting 5 if Williams is out. But if there's games like that and then the offense is really going well and he's missing free throws, then you'll turn to Richards pretty quickly, or you'll even turn to Malawach in that case. I want to talk about defense because the biggest question for me coming out of the preseason is, okay, they're clearly going to try very hard to start. We'll see how long it goes for. Again, one of my biggest questions with the team is when they inevitably lose 7 of 10, 8 of 11, 10 of 12, whatever it is,
it's the fight
are they still going to be playing this hard? We'll see. I would assume that they will based on the guys that they got and everything that's been said, but that may be too optimistic for some people's likings. That's where I'll go with it for now. But how good can this defense be? I'm not going to hover towards top 10, but can they be like middle of the road? Do they have the personnel for that? What to watch for, I think, in the first 5 games is how often are they put into recoveries based on someone getting by a on-ball defender, and how good are those recoveries? Because those are the 2 parts where this defense was absolutely miserable and abhorrent last year, is the amount of dribble penetration they allowed for 1, but 2, how abysmal and terrible and stinky and trash their recoveries were for most of the year after that. There were some very impressive possessions they put together where someone did get beat, or they were funneling the guy towards the rim, and all of the recoveries and all of that stuff is very good. But is Dillon Brooks a very good on-ball defender, or is he just like an okay on-ball defender at this point in his career? Is Ryan Dunn great on the ball, or is he just kind of okay? Brian will be the first guy to tell you, off the ball, he felt pretty good about how he defended as a rookie. On the ball, he felt like he had a lot more to learn. Grayson in a similar position where now he's not asked to guard the first guy. He's going to be a lot more secondary like he sort of was last year. Can he hang there? Can he avoid being the guy that gets picked on all the time? Can he avoid being the pigeon? And then the guys on the back end, like, is Oso big enough to be a consistent rim protector? Is Mark Williams' positioning, which is the people, the real league heads out there, the league pass heads who have watched a lot of Charlotte Hornets basketball the last 3 years, the national writers will...
Bless you.
Yeah, bless you, first of all. And second of all, they will be heavily critical of the way that Williams positioned himself as a backline defender. So we'll see if he improves there. If Richards can improve there, that was one of those things where it felt like at every timeout, David Fizdale was talking about Richards and pointing to spots on the floor. And if Malawach plays, if he's able to do that, like he made a couple of nice plays against the Lakers, can he do that as well? So all of that coming together, can you be 14th in defensive rating instead of like 25th?
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge difference in being competitive because this team's going to be bad offensively. There's no way that they're going to be a top 10 offense this year. I feel very confident in saying that. This is the same guy who, after watching this team defensively 10 games into last year, was like, there's no way they're one of the worst defensive teams in the league. And then Kevin got hurt the rest of the year. Happened from there. But I'm very confident that they're going to be a better defensive team than an offensive team. And if they're a middle of the pack defense, Kevin, that is how they actually surprise people and win 35, maybe even 40 games.
I think Suns fans might not like to hear this, but I think Ryan Dunn he's the guy who needs to have the biggest year of like a jump to me, because he's obviously going to be the starter. Dillon Brooks will have his spots, and he's the instigator, like, you know all about him, but he's not athletically like going to chase after the 1-2s and even the most athletic 3s in the best way. It was not good, for example, that Cam Thomas, how he went off on the Suns, because it was a lot of Dunn. It was actually Dillon Brooks who ended up like having a couple possessions to kind of cool him off in that preseason game.
It was a little Landry Shamity from Ryan where I thought he played very good defense, and Cam Thomas was so confident scoring on him that it didn't matter. Because remember, Landry Shamity played excellent defense on Jamal Murray for most of that playoff series, and it didn't matter because Jamal Murray thought he was food.
Yeah, but to me, that's the biggest problem with this team is even if Ryan Dunn is having success there, then Book and Jalen Green are guarding who? You know what I mean? they were going to have to guard up probably in some respects. Same with Grayson. Colin Gillespie is always at a disadvantage, but obviously he's there to get into the teeth of the point guards. So how they defend the ones, twos, and threes to me are going to be like make or break. Yes, you're going to get blown by the best players. Luka's going to step back on anyone. That stuff isn't concerning to me. It's who gets downhill and starts breaking apart your defense because you can't keep them in front of you. And yes, that's why you have the centers, and that's why I like, from this perspective, the roster construction of you have some big bodies back there, and Malawach hopefully comes along to deter and make the mid-range the king. I will say, again, preseason numbers, they did do a really good job of points in the paint, stopping people from scoring there. So there's that. But we're just going to have to see. It's going to be, again, a lot on Ryan Dunn, I think, to really make this or break this.
I think him and Grayson are the two swing guys for the team outside of the obvious. Because again, we say like Jalen Green is the X factor. It's like he's the second best or third best player on the team in most eyes. Like that would make sense that he was. Same thing with Mark Williams and his health. Obviously, if you're not familiar with the concrete numbers there, less than 45 games played each of his 3 years. I think it's 43% of his total games that he's played in through 3 years. Is he going to play 80? No. Is he going to play 70? No. Can I get 60? Can I get 55? Can I even get 50? That would be a notable and sizable improvement, but you want to see him shoot for at least like 55. That would be something going in the right direction. So we'll see on that front. Yeah, I think Grayson and Ryan are the two guys that will really swing this year, just because I think of how much Grayson's going to have to do. I think that he is going to be like the secondary quote unquote point guard in these point book lineups when Jalen or Devin is not bringing the ball up. I think it'll be Grayson quite a bit. I know fans are like often infuriated with some of the decision making that he has, and it leads them to believe that he's a much worse basketball player than he is. And I totally get it, because the frustration with his turnovers, a lot of them are sort of unforced errors. But with that being said, he's not really a guy who turns the ball over a ton. Like his percentile ranking and turnover percentage last year was 34th, which isn't great, but it's not horrible. And then it was 50, which is league average a year before. So he doesn't really turn the ball over too much, but the decision making that he makes and how consistently he's taking advantage of Devin going around a pin down and seeing two immediately, and it's going to swing a lot.
I will say, like, how they handled, again, going back to the people who didn't watch the preseason games much, how they handled the point guard situation, like, a lot of the issues that we've talked about, even since the Chris Paul area of getting the ball past half court, is just about pace. And that's where this team is in a better spot, because, hey, even Malawach, he got a rebound, and the everyone's going back on defense. Like, they allowed him to dribble it up a few times and just dribble handoff and get the offense rolling. And getting into the offense quickly is the important thing. It's not like who's dribbling. And a lot of that can be fixed with the pass, which I just blew my mind the last few years that they just didn't figure that out at some points, and just like push the ball up, and then you don't have to worry about people pressuring you.
They just didn't care enough. It's
like, just pressure. Yeah.
It's like full court pressure is a big talking point right now, but which teams are going to do it all 82 games? It's like Indiana created this trend, but in a postseason series. Hallie was on Kevin O'Connor's podcast, and he talked about this, how like we were doing it over a 7-game series. That's a lot easier than doing it over a full 82. Like, we'll see where the trends
about getting to the playoffs.
Every team wants to play fast. Every team wants to defend with more pressure. Every team wants to win the possession.
Every team also wants to get back if you're pushing it down there. I feel like I've been listening to football guys on our radio station too much. It's just like, are you moving the man in front of you, or are they moving you? I listened to Kenny Dillingham this morning.
The point of attack, physicality. Yeah. You just got to want it more.
But if you face up and you're dribbling forward and pushing it up or passing it, then they're going to be on their heels.
Before we go, the rookies. Kaman Malawach is incredibly green, and it's incredibly fine, everyone. It's totally okay. Now, I know me saying this after he had by far his best outing against the Lakers and looked like he could play good minutes for you right away might throw some people off, but if you just watch him on the floor and go back and watch any of those games, even that Laker game, you can see the gears are still spinning for him just about everywhere. And because he is such a giant dude with where he has to put himself on the floor, if he just leans the wrong way, not even steps the wrong way, leans the wrong way, he's suddenly out of position. That's something I saw a lot with Mark Williams on tape as well. So that process is going to take time. I would be shocked if he's in the opening rotation, even if Mark Williams is out the opening night rotation. I don't think he'll be in there. And again, that's totally fine. And I've been saying this message in different places, because when Cedric Coward wins Western Conference Rookie of the Month right away, or things like that start to happen and Malawach is barely playing, it's fine. They drafted him because of what he's going to be in year 3, not because of what he's going to be in year 1. It might even be year 2 as well. That's totally fine. Rasheer Fleming needs to play right away. I was on this hill when they drafted him initially and in the summer, and getting to watch him just once up close. It was like the way that he moves around the floor. I asked Book about like multi-positional defenders and wings and stuff. And it's like, I was like, it's great to have one of those guys on your team. And he was like, well, there aren't many guys like him though. And noting to Rasheer, 6'9", 7'5", moves the way that he does around the floor. And Ott said after that game and made it clear that he's kind of in that Malawatch camp too, where not really sure where to be sometimes, doesn't really know what to do, and they just want him to play instinctual basketball. I think that'll be a lot easier for him when he's playing with the regular rotation players.
Yeah.
A guy like him just has to hit his threes and not botch backside defensive rotations. Like that's all he has to do to stay on the floor, because from there he's getting that offensive rebound, he's getting the moves in transition, he's picking up that crazy block out of nowhere, that steal, the run out. He's one of those guys that'll just make those plays happen. The Suns have a couple of guys like that, but no one who moves like him, and they have to position themselves better for the athletic teams that they're going to play this year. They're going to be much more athletic than they were last year already with Green and Williams, but Fleming kind of pushes it over the top, and in a way where I think if we just see Malawatch in the rotation, he's going to fail a bit, and that's okay. But I think that we should make sure with Fleming, like even if we think he's going to fail, I'm doing the we thing right there. Even if you think he's going to fail, give him a couple of games, give him a few weeks to wait and see really how much he will fail, how will he fail, because the benefit that you're going to get, the benefit for Malawatch is just like, okay, you get like decent center minutes, and like you've already kind of got those. They have no one else that does what Rasheer does in the way that he does it, so they need to play him.
I think both of them will be in line for spot minutes here or there, or should be at least, especially Malawatch. Just I honestly don't even know if it's mental or physical progression from preseason game 1 to 4, but there was something there where he was just moving faster, more decisive maybe, but also the body. I guess I'm going back to Summer League from where he was then, like just looked more like he was in control, and I'm sure he's been working really hard on just the physical stuff and weight room things. Explosiveness, just running up and down the floor. He just looked so much improved even compared to Summer League when he first appeared there. But I think the last preseason game was good for both of them, and that's where it's like, hey, we see you against Luka and Ayton. They're obviously pretty new with one another, but just how Malawatch was moving and found that gray area where when you're a large 7'2" human being, if the pick and roll downhill guy doesn't know if he should go attack you or throw the lob, he's lost just because of how long your arms are. He found himself a couple of times in those situations, which is good that he's just even in the same world of being in the right spot. And then Fleming, to me, the standout things with him are just the instinctual, again, baby deer type stuff, but just on ball on Luka. Not fouling is when you always see rookies like, oh, I'm on Luka, I'm just going to be super aggressive. And it's just like, oh, that's foul bait. Like, he was very calm, was still actually trying to get the ball and poke at it and stuff, and didn't get it overly aggressive. And I think that was kind of a huge, he's like locked in. He's not afraid of the moment. He's not just panicking. He's on Luka.
He had a notable thing where he showed self-awareness and saying like, remember he had the viral clip go after draft night where it was something like it was extreme confidence to the point where like if you read it in the wrong context or just read it in whatever context, you might think it was arrogant. He said something earlier in camp where he said he felt super comfortable on both ends, particularly on defense. And then he said it in a way of a tone where like he didn't quite expect it. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was like he was ready for like the rookie wall to hit him, to be out of place, to not really know what he was doing. And then getting to guard Luka, getting to guard Austin Reeves, he got to kind of see it.
Yeah. And that's how he kind of played. So again, learning curve for both of them, but there's reasons that they can help your team now, and it's just a matter of juggling that. And again, I think when we talk about the rotation, we don't have to go in super depth because, again, it's going to change. But I think they have enough bodies where they need to do some like shift changes or game by game. This matchup makes sense, whether it's, hey, we need Nick Richards today and not Oso. we need to get Rasheer in for 15 minutes against this team just because he'll help on the wing defense. I think that's what you're going to see on this team, whether Jalen Green and Mark Williams are healthy or not.
The rotations pointed towards Nigel Hayes-Davis being the guy to get those minutes. He didn't have that great of it. He really struggled in the Lakers game. He's been okay this preseason. I understand why he would play again, but he is like, that is the perfect example of like, where do your priorities lie? Do you need the guy that's in the right place at the right time every single time? That you could debatably say which guy gives you more of a chance to win, but you're just going to go with like the coach's not favorite, but the guy who's in the right spot every single time, who's reliable in a couple of different senses, versus the kid who's going to like, again, like run around, not really know where he is sometimes, but then he's going to make 3 plays a game.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh my gosh, like we have no one else who can do that. It'll be interesting to see. Cats talk before we go.
Cats talk. Oh yeah.
You down?
Yeah.
New listeners of the pod, I say this every year. We have Cats Talk at the end of podcasts sometimes because Kevin and I are diehard Arizona Wildcats basketball fans on the men's side specifically. We don't have a podcast, but sometimes in the last like 5-10 minutes, we just sit here and gab about U of A hoops because we love it more than anything else in the world. And if you're a Suns fan and that's all you want to hear about, guess what? You can shut out the podcast right now and we won't take any umbrage with it. You'll drop all of our important metrics with listening time. Oh, no.
If you got this far, you've already helped us, so thank you for your service.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. And I have had multiple people come up to me and say, like, I don't like the Arizona Wildcats. Like, I'm an ASU fan or whatever, but I still stick around for Cats Talk.
That's nice of you.
Bless you if you're one of those people. I think this team has the greatest gap of ceiling and floor that I can remember with an Arizona team in a long time, because I don't want to say if they Tommy Lloyd it, but again, have you seen?
They didn't Tommy Lloyd it last year.
Like, Zach Lowe is on the pod with Simmons raving about Carter Bryant and like how he's like an elite defender already. And I'm like, this guy sat on the bench. Like, he didn't start this. So why I'm bringing this up is not because I'm still mad about it, but I am still mad about it.
You might be.
Is there's a version of this team that is very heavy Jaden Bradley, Anthony Delorso, Toby Waka, Mo Krivas, and it's the majority of the offense and just the majority of things going through them. Or there is a version, this is a version I believe, where you're primarily working through the mid-post and co-op Pete. You're primarily letting Braden Burries cook when you need to in the second half of games. And you are playing the kids. You're letting Dwayne Aristode run out there and make mistakes. You're letting Karchenkov get out there, who I think Karchenkov's good.
You think?
I think that he's good. There were parts of the Red-Blue game where I was like, are we sure Bryce James like shouldn't be in the rotation right away? Like, I was feeling that way about some of the kids. Aristode is more of the projectable, like 6'8", 220. Maybe he's a first-round pick at some point.
The no-ceilings guys think Aristode is like going to be the best 3-and-D, or at least the D part.
The Raleigh Alkins, if you will. Where like you can just see that he's a first-round pick at some point in the future. That's kind of his shtick at all. But like Karchenkov brings like offense, shot-making, a little bit of juice on the ball that they need, and then Bryce and Dwayne as 3-and-D guys. So like there's this version of the team where they're starting Jaden Bradley, they're starting Braden Burries, they're starting, I'll say it, one of those freshmen too, then they're starting Cole Pete, and then one of the bigs as well, where they have these 3 freshmen in there. They're just electrifying with the way that they can get to the ball defensively, the way they run up and down the floor, because that's the thing. Lloyd's teams are going to play fast. You can now revitalize some of your high-low play with Koa Pete and Mo Krivas, who's probably going to start at some point. Awaka's going to be in there for now, but again, that's what I worry about, is that it's just going to be a lot of high-low, and it's going to be like a lot of Bradley on the ball and not enough Burries and not enough of like, if Karchenkov isn't playing it, they're playing Florida in the opener, which is one of those huge things. Their non-conference schedule is actually kind of nasty. It's the toughest one they've had under Lloyd. Number 3 Florida, number 12 UCLA, number 4 UConn on the road, number 20 Auburn, number 15 Alabama. Ooh. So they've got a lot going there, especially early. So it's like, okay, are you still just going to play the kids right away? And
they're playing St. Mary's in the preseason tomorrow.
Oh yeah, they are indeed. That's getting streamed somewhere. I'm gonna have to watch that.
ESPN Plus, I believe.
I'm gonna have to watch that when I get back. But by that UConn game, at the end of that UConn game, if it's not clear that like that's 5 games in. If we're 5 games in, albeit 3 really tough games, but if we're 5 games in, it doesn't feel like this is like a freshman.
It needs
revolution,
to be a freshman, yes.
Then this is gonna be like the 9th place team in the conference.
It's gonna be painful to watch.
Or they could just be like a Final Four dark horse. I don't know. Are you with me?
Yes, they need to. The top 2 scorers. I mean, I'm going off
Burries can like score it in the NBA right now. Like
you think? Okay. And I've seen more Pete
not
than
like
Burries, so I don't know.
Don't get me wrong, like nothing like that, but like
that
he
should be
could
their
come off
top
the
two.
bench for
Their
someone
top
right
two
now.
scores should be those two.
For offense only, I'm saying scoring only. Not saying you should be a first round pick or anything, but if you needed someone to come off your bench and give you 12 points a game off the bench, he could legitimately do that right now in the
And
NBA.
Koa Pete's
He could Jordan Poole for you. That's what I'm saying.
Koa Pete is not
complimentary, not derogatory.
not a freshman type of body or attitude or. He's not a developmental guy. He's
the best
ready.
athlete on the floor, and then when you watch him come on the floor, you think he's going to be the worst athlete on the floor because you're used to seeing Tyler Hansborough, Luke Herringody mid-post guys in college.
Yeah.
Nigel Hayes was one of those guys as well.
Yeah.
And then you watch him move around the floor, get offensive rebounds, and with his length and everything, and you're like, oh my gosh.
I completely forgot his brother transferred to Arizona from ASU, which they were trying hard. Was he hanging out with Kenny Dillingham to... Anyway, that's my rivalry talk there.
I love Evan Nelson. I love his education. I hope I don't see him playing basketball. Like that's the thing. It's like I don't need to see 30 minutes a game of Anthony Delorso. Like I'm good.
15. You better get 5 shots up or you're getting pulled.
Yes. And look, he bulked up. He looks like he's moving better on the field, on the court.
Did,
but again,
he did
what
have a
happened
good
in
tournament
March was
game.
the most predictable thing
He
in
did
the
have
world.
like one good tournament game. Yeah.
He did. And then against Duke, it looked like he was like the JV playing against like a JV high school kid playing against college pros. Like that's
I'm
what it felt
lighter
like.
on Tommy Lloyd's stuff because Cooper Flag. If Cooper Flag didn't exist, then
We'd be a lot more.
It'd be a lot worse.
I give like, you know how I felt about last year. It was like I was going to feel a certain aggressive kind of way. And I said something on the pod after still because of the loss. But with that being said, it was like, I will counter that though and say like Caleb was unbelievable in that game too. So like without
true.
Caleb being unbelievable, they would have gotten absolutely smoked. And I wrote about it at the time. We talked about it at the time. This is like the fascinating prove it year for me with them because he's got a extremely talented roster. If he can build the system around these guys, they're going to be very, very good. And if he can develop guys like these freshmen, which he has done in the past, to be clear, if he can get some improvement out of Jaden Bradley, if he can get some improvement further from all these other guys on the roster that we've already brought up, then they're going to be maybe the best team in the entire conference, like in the Big 12 in general. I think they really can be that good. But everything needs to click together, and I had these same exact freaking concerns last year, and they were proven valid. So I'm hoping that I am wrong on that one. Like, there's a non-zero chance that we like Cole Pete's going to start. There's a non-zero chance that we see Burries and Pete start, but Burries is starting and playing 18 minutes, and then we don't see any of the other freshmen, which would be a travesty, an absolute travesty. You're playing against Florida, maybe the best team in the country right away. I don't care. It would be a travesty.
Before we go.
Yeah.
If we were in a media pickup game against the Phoenix Suns coaches with other media members that cover the Suns.
I'm watching Luka tape for like 3 weeks straight and trying to get to the line because I can actually hit free throws.
Okay.
But I like, are we playing free throws in this pickup game?
That's
I don't even
true.
know if we're doing that. If we're not, I'm screwed.
We would probably get up. Do you think we would get up 4 points?
The problem is there's some like edge to the game. So normally when I play pickup, people will just leave me alone from 3 and then I'll make 2 of 7. You know what I mean? Like I'll do that for you, but they're going to pressure that. Like Damari Carroll will be
Damari
up in my
Carroll would
business.
be he would be
He will be up in my business.
You might have Muscala or something.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Anyway,
it's
if
like,
you don't know,
those guys were in the league like 3 years ago. Like there's the Denver game, I think, happening today. It's like Jared was in the league recently. Like JJ Barea wasn't in the league that too long ago. Like
the Celtics started this thing where they played the media members, and also they pulled it on them the day of when they were supposed to be media on media, but the coaches played the media. Denver's media is playing like the coaching staff of Jared Dudley, JJ Barea. But yeah, that's the reference I was making.
And even if Damari Carroll was like 15 years post removed from the league, we still wouldn't have a shot. I don't really know the track record. It was like a light chatter thing where like Dwayne, I don't know the hoop status. Like when the Lakers came in, I was giving Dave McMenamin crap because he actually does play quite a bit. I know him and Jovan Buha do play. So they're in a position where I think on their team, like they can technically include like Robert Horry and James Worthy and stuff. So those guys are beyond their playing days, of course, way beyond them, but they'd still be in a position to have like the NBA guys out there.
I'll tell you where I'm at.
Do we get Tom Chambers? Do we get EJ?
Oh, that's true. He can. stand and shoot?
I would just run flare screens for EJ every play down. Like, just put me in front of whoever. I'll foul the crap out of them. I'll set the most Andrew Bogut screens of all time for EJ.
I can run. I'm in running shape, but that's not explosive running anymore.
That's the other problem.
And that's where it's like, I legit have a better chance of probably making an NBA three than a layup if I'm.
Well, they're making it a full court game. So I'm out of gas by like 3 minutes in maybe. And that's being nice because I don't have the cardio shape for that at all.
We'd probably not score 4 points against the Suns.
No.
Yeah.
Again, like it's one of those things where
this is where you learn that we're humble and know our place.
You don't understand how competitive these people are. Like the longer that 0 stays on the screen, the more hyped up they get and the more aggressive with their defense that they'll get. Like if Damari Carroll just hand checked me in the stomach, I would not be able to move for weeks. You know what I mean? Like the physicality that they would bring. I'm incredibly aware of where I would stand in that game. No shot.
All right.
I'll set great screens, and I hope I can get to the free throw line. That's it.
I hope any Suns employees listening passes this along to know that we respect you, even if we say
respect you greatly in your basketball minds and your basketball
roster is terrible or
and
whatever.
Not just because we are threatened by the possibility of this happening.
Yeah. All right.
All right, that's it. We'll be back, I think, at some point next week, maybe the weekend, maybe the week after. It's a weird one where we've got a season opener, so if there's enough juice to talk about after that, maybe. If not, we'll go a couple of games. And if you're new to the pod and you're around this long, first of all, thank you very much for hanging around. Second of all, that we shoot for once a week, but sometimes timing works out where it's like, do we want to pod after like one game and that's it, or do we wait for like 3 or 4?
It's based on feelings and decisions of what we want in our lives.
All we know is if there's like a moment where you're like, ooh, we would love to hear the pod now, we will be there. We will be there for you. We guarantee it. We won't do like a post Mark Williams not getting signed to an extension pod or anything like that, but we'll have breakdowns and all that stuff coming throughout the year. So thank you for tuning in, and hopefully, as you and I shared last year and 2 years, hopefully this is a much more relieving time for you and you're able to have some fun watching basketball, because that's what I'm looking forward to doing. Have a good rest of your day, everyone, whenever you're listening to this. Goodbye.